the Bucs might have given Baker Mayfield, there's another thing that sort of stuck out with all the mini camp noise going on. His receiver room, speaking of passing, it's just loaded. It is loaded. We know they have perennial GOAT, future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, 1,000-yard receiver every year, Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin, he's back. Then they have Jalen McMillan, who went off down the stretch. They made some draft picks. And then, of course, another draft pick, 7th rounder, Tez Johnson out of Oregon. He instantly became one of my favorite receivers. Let me tell you, I'm at the Panini Rookie Premiere. We had been there for 6 hours, I think, to this point, pouring rain. I looked awful. Like some of my most awful looking stuff. The interviews, not crisp, not great, because it was one after the other and they were quick and they were Tez Johnson, who I, of course, have heard of from Bucky Irving on my very show, comes and he sits down, and I would have sat there for 7 more hours. At this point, I sound like I'd smoked 9-pack of Winston Reds, absolutely freezing. I have hot hands in places one should not have hot hands. And Tez Johnson was theater for me. He was turning it on. He was so excited. He's a guy who I'd want my locker room next to. Like, it was absolutely perfect. And he took me through. I just, as I ask everyone, like, what is it about? When a bunch of guys say the same thing about one player, like all the quarterbacks talk about Matthew Stafford, I'm like, what is it? What is it? The answer is always, Matthew Stafford trusts me to make the play. Matthew Stafford's going to give me the chance to make a play. That's why they like him, right? And the toughness and all of that. I asked always the same thing about Baker Mayfield. I asked it to Levante David. Why do you love him? And Levante said to me, it's because I want to run through a wall for him. Look at how he blocks. That's Levante David, who's a future Hall of Famer, who's been on this team forever, seen a revolving door of quarterbacks in his day. Tez Johnson, what does he know about what's going on with the Bucs? What does he know about Baker Mayfield? What is it about Baker? What is it about him that makes people want to play harder?
I mean, look what he did. Like, he had Joey Bosa on one arm just to throw a ball. You know what I mean? And you like, oh my gosh, Baker don't care. First of all,
Baker don't care.
Baker don't care who
Baker
you
don't
are.
care.
Baker don't care who you are, how good you are. He finna go
well
out there
said.
and go head up with you every single day. And I love that for him. And one thing I noticed about Baker, like if you turn on our film, if you watch Tampa Bay anybody highlights, and say for instance somebody break a long run or just having a breakout play, watch Baker. Watch what he does. I can remember specifically the Panthers. Bucky
this is the best interview ever. This is unbelievable.
Bucky has a big run, and watch Baker. Baker literally chased Bucky down to go block for him, be his lead block. And that's consistency throughout the entire season. And that shows what type of guy, what type of player he is.
The rest of the interview is just as good. Hamilton, the second I left the field that day, I said, Tez Johnson and I are starting a podcast. I did something I don't usually do. I hyped up that description off the dome from Tez, who didn't know he was getting to chop it up with me that day. He didn't know anything I would say. What did you think of that answer? Like, what?
I thought it was amazing. He's clearly was in tune with that team all year. He talked to about how he kind of manifested it throughout the year, how he wanted to be a Buck while he was still at Oregon. That was the place he wanted to land. And clearly a big part of that reason was Baker Mayfield. But yeah, there was that whole interview was so good. We got to get some more of it out at some point too. And just talking about the Bucs uniforms too. I loved that. And I think Bucs fans will appreciate
his
that.
locker room next to Mike Evans, who those two should not be. That's like water and I don't even know. I'm too tired to even say. I haven't had enough coffee. Oil and vinegar. That's such a creepy. I hate when people say oil and vinegar. They're not. There's definitely opposing personalities. But this isn't. That was a perfect 10 out of 10 summation of Baker Mayfield. And it's of course emphasized, underlined, highlighted, bolded by everyone who's ever played with him. This isn't some cute story of Bo Nix's brother getting a shot in the league, by the way. What he was talking about there, getting to reunite with his buddy, with his teammate Bucky Irving. There's I have more clips, I'll get them out. Like the manifestation of Tez as a Buccaneer. And he's been showing out, obviously already with, Bucking Irving, all that. Listen to what Todd Bowles had to say after minicamp yesterday.
Well, we know he can get down the field. He has a lot of speed, but he's just not a speed guy. He's a very good receiver. He's a route runner. He's more than a punt returner. He actually has a chance to be a vital part of our offense if he keeps trending in the way he's trending.
I like that vital part of our offense. He is not huge. He is very fast. And I love, it caught my attention from Bulls there. You know, at Oregon, he scored double-digit touchdowns each of the last 2 years with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. And seriously, who has it better than Baker right now? If you look at that room, the offense, so deep, so loaded. They're so overlooked, it makes me love them. I love Tez Johnson. I'm going to root for him all freaking year. And I think Tampa should be getting a lot more attention in the NFC. I talked to Jason Light about this. They like being slept on to a point though, right? Hamilton, wasn't that sort of like even just at the owners meetings, it's like, do we enjoy this? And it's like, no, I think now it's time to flex a little. I get the same thing with the Broncos. Don't talk about us, but now we're actually here. You can talk about us. And I think that is the vibe with this Buccaneers team, and it should. I mean, Baker's not going to fall off, and I don't know what their odds are. Do you have this plus 34? What do you got for me there?
Yeah, let me take a look. But yeah, it's like once Brady, they're plus 100 to win the division. So still not even minus odds in that division with how dominant they've been over the last couple of years there, which is surprising. But yeah, it's like they only got talked about when Tom Brady was there. Brady leaves. They've had a ton of success since, and it's like they go right back to the back burner.